So it's been a long time since I posted. Been going through some tough times again, as per usual. And the one thing that I'm learning, the more that I'm suffering and the longer I'm suffering, is there's a certain type of transcendence of suffering. And most people in the world today are just never going to get to that point. And before anybody gets defensive and says, "How do you know? You don't know me," yada, yada, yada. I don't know anybody who has suffered for longer periods of time at a higher level than myself. So this is not a humble brag. This is nothing. This is just a statement of fact. And so I think that we live in a society that doesn't offer as much suffering, and we have more happiness and comfort than we give ourselves credit for. Are we all suffering to a little degree? Yeah, absolutely, right? There is suffering in life and in our thoughts and what we do. But until you truly suffer and suffer for great amounts of time, your mind doesn't open up. And I wouldn't recommend it for anybody either. And who am I to even make that statement? But when people believe in this or that, or a God or transcendence, it's filtered through their experiences. And when you suffer greatly for longer periods of time, and you can get past the depression and the anger and every other emotion that comes up, the helplessness, you become enlightened in a way. And obviously, becoming enlightened, there's other ways to get there. But I now understand that suffering is one of those ways. And I also believe that transcendence of suffering is a more grounded way to become one with oneself and understanding the meaning of life. It's not a word, it's not a sentence, it's not even a paragraph. It's a deep-rooted feeling and an understanding of, if you want to call it an energy, a God, or a love, a truth. It's been very difficult to get to this point, and it will be continually difficult. And again, I wouldn't recommend it for anybody, but it does open your mind to a greater degree that nothing else can. So whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, it remains to be seen. But most of us live our lives in a shell and in a fog. And it's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's partially the culture's fault. But if you think about the mystery of man, and I say man in a general terms, I mean every gender, you realize that we're so caught up in our surroundings that we very rarely take time to truly be one with oneself. And suffering helps you get there faster. So some of us might view this video and think it's just hogwash, but when you go through that for longer periods of time, it definitely helps. And that's why you see many children that are dying change their mentality drastically. It's not necessarily because of a God. It's because your mind is finally letting go of the materialistic culture that we all live in. And that really is worldwide. It could even be argued that it's in tribal communities, because you're caught up in your tasks of the day. So I just wanted to put that out there in the ether. And as I always say for my family, I can never explain it completely, but I try once in a while to explain it. Thanks for listening. Bye now.